1960s or the 1930s, or look how black people getting killed right now, or look how we don't have. We keep talking about the trauma. The mental health perspective is the whole spectrum of you understanding that you're gonna go through things in life. You're gonna get knocked off your feet. Just being a black person is you gonna have to just be prepared to be in trauma, honestly speaking. But how are you dealing with that trauma? How are you going about that trauma? In what way are you handling that trauma? Because we create our realities by our thoughts, by our words, and by our actions. So you think about how that trauma affects our community. Think about what people do when they go watch YouTube and be like, oh, I just saw a black person get killed. And you watch that 20 times, and then you get pulled over. 3 o'clock in the morning. Get out the car. You telling me that trauma that you just saw is not reoccurring in your head? You telling me that's not going to influence what you're going to do? Unless you specialize in mental health and you're a social worker or a psychiatrist, you might not have that mental fortitude. You might panic. And then what?
Even if you have that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think that we talk too much about trauma and we need to stray away from that. And I think we need to talk about the solution.
Get to a space where we already know the shit that we've been through. Like currently saying, right? Like we've been going through it for generations, but like how do we think about happiness? How do we think about love? How do we think about showing happiness? And how do we think about showing love to not only ourselves, but to the people around us, to the community at large? And I think that that's what this whole thing was. But what I realized in this process is that if that's all you know, that's all you know. And we now may have to put ourselves in a position where, as men of color, as the guys who are in your mid 20s to your early 50s, we're gonna have to realize that we may have to move out of the way. And all we need to do is just create this platform to allow you, the new generation, to understand that like love is a thing that you can really attain, and you're gonna have trauma as well. But like how you lose that trauma is based in and rooted in mental health, and mental health is fucking cool.
I mean, I feel like that's a valid point, but the people that needs, like, what about the people that's going through that trauma right now? The people, because like if you think about just health in general, because you talked about working out and like stuff like that. If you don't understand why it's easier to get Burger King rather than go to a Whole Food spot and buy some veggies,
food deserts and things.
Things like that. If you don't understand that, if you don't understand the economics of that, it's hard to like overcome it. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So, I totally agree. You shouldn't like really focus on the trauma or whatever, but you gotta understand who you're talking to. If you're talking to like a person like me, like if you give me the tools and more knowledge to help my brother or like my cousin or whoever I know who I feel is going through like a certain situation, then I feel like it'll be more powerful rather than like just a small group of people, like-minded people. Cause like the people that's gonna show up is already thinking like, you know, I'm trying to better my life. I'm trying to, you know. So how about we give them the tools to like spread the word and like help the people that they care about. You know what I mean?
I'm reading this book, right? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, right?
Yeah.
And in the book, it tells a story like, suppose somebody walked up to you this morning and was like, yo, you gotta run 26.2 miles in 5 hours, and if you don't run that, we're gonna kill you and your entire family. It was like, yo, that should be a stressful perspective.
Yeah.
But it was like on the opposite side of the coin, there's somebody out there that wakes up, they prepare, they get ready for the marathon, and they run that same time. And it's still the same type of pain for them to get ready for the marathon.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not the stress of worrying about their entire family dying, right? So basically, they say like, if you choose your problems, it's easier for you to go at it and find a solution for your problems. But when your problems choose you, or you feel like you have no control over the problem that you're dealing with, it's harder. So I compare that to trauma, and then I compare that to like a solution for us, right? Because a lot of our people, when they're dealing with the trauma, they're only thinking about the problem or what happened to them. It might not be slavery. Yeah. It might be they got raped. It might be that they got beat up or they got mentally or physically abused. You're stuck in the trauma, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about it, like Barry said, as like, yo, I overcame that, and that helped me become a stronger individual.
Right,
All
exactly.
the adversity that I've dealt with in my life, it has put me in a position where I can sit in a room with people like yourself, where I could give advice to young black men or young black women, and I wouldn't be this person without the adversity.
Right,
So if
yeah,
I take the adversity out, I'm not sitting here with you. Barry's not asking me what time I'm coming, or I'm not asking him what time to start, because it's no potency, it's no substance. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But if that's because I chose not to be the victim.
Right,
a lot of our people, they stay in that victim trauma, like I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
The new thing now is anxiety. You know what I'm saying? I'm dealing with anxiety, and I'm not saying that it's not a real thing, but it's why are you viewing it like that? You know what I'm saying? View it as something that's going to help you grow and put you to the next, to the next layer of your life, or to the next journey of your life. Don't allow it to hinder you. That's a choice.
And people, I always, like a surge protector. So on the surge protector, when it's too much plugged in, it should cut off, right? And I feel like we have that innately in us. Like, regardless if a person knows how to cut the switch back on or how to switch to the positive, right? Because to your point, we as a people, we are in a space where negativity is overwhelming, right? And I think on all factors, whether you're rent burdened, whether you're a millennial trying to find your way in this fast-paced society, whether you are Generation X trying to kind of like move to that next phase in your 30s and so on and so forth. But there's a switch that goes off when it's too much. And that's when your conscience speaks to you. And I don't care how much you struggle mentally, even the quote-unquote craziest person, that switch go off, and that's what checks them in the hospital. Or they could go so far deep over where their family members say, you know what, we don't know what to do, so we're going to just call 911. We know you need to go somewhere. And I think those are the times where, as a people, that's when we need to take that mental inventory. So, like, for us to even say, like, people don't know, it's impossible. Because the one thing we do know is we know what it feels like to feel good, and we know what it feels like to feel bad. Right. And I think that is the most powerful tool on the planet. Now, if you got people who have psychological issues and they can't feel anything, then that's one thing. But for most people, the meter, the barometer is, I know what greatness feels like. I felt that before. I felt excitement. I felt joy. I felt love. You know what I mean? I felt being altruistic. And I also felt pain, anger, frustration, sadness. So I know what this feels like. And I know what this feels like. And which one is going to help me be more productive. And let's kind of like celebrate that. You can't get rid of neither one of them, because if we could all choose our feelings, everybody will be fucking happy. But it's the switch. And when you are in this space for too long, your body, your mind doesn't allow you to stay there. Like, even if you don't do anything about it, you're going to be so down that somebody around you is going to feel that pain. And they're going to be like, I don't want that around me. We need to do something. And I think that that's what we need to start highlighting. Not so much saying to negate this, but we need to start highlighting the fact that we do have the tools. And if you may not have the tools, there's somebody in your circle, in your world, who's watching you. So whenever it is that you fall off, they're going to pick you up and then y'all can celebrate together. And we don't do that. Like, even as a people, we don't celebrate enough. As men of color, we don't celebrate shit. Now let's basketball or fucking, we sitting around doing some dumb shit. Like, we don't say, yo, you did a good job, bro. Like, imagine, like, we don't even hear that. Even when we kids, we raised by women. Most of us are raised by women. We're taught to be providers, and we're taught to be this king. And we don't even have the tools for it yet. So it's just like, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to this award ceremony, because I don't know that. I don't know what it is to be appreciated in that sense. And it makes me uncomfortable. So I'm breaking my comfortability today going there so that I could feel what I guess everybody else is looking for. I don't know, it's weird. But I just hope that through this project and every year that we grow, we could get it to the point where we could change the narrative of like, black men are angry, black men are misogynistic, black men are rapists, and I know that we do struggle with those things. We can't negate that, right? But we're actually some other things too. Right. And if we want to teach the next generation how to get to that point, let's kind of like not push it under the rug, but let's celebrate what we need to celebrate, and let's work on what we need to work on, and we could do both of those things. And I really think it's rooted in celebrating mental health, celebrating, you know, and even when we hear mental health, we hear therapists, isolated room, dim lights, and fucking incense. Nah, mental health is like sharing a laugh. Mental health is having a party. Like, mental health is painting a mural. Mental health is painting a picture. Mental health is photography. Mental health is art. Mental health is everything. Mental health is making a choice to go to the gym and work out. All of those things are mental health, and we don't talk about it like that.
I think the best way, one of the words that go with that is preparation. To prepare yourself for whatever. If you're going to work